Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Paranormal Connections radio show. As you can see, I'm solo tonight. George is actually had to work today. So I do have a couple announcements before we get started. First of all, um, this is going to be the last episode of Paranormal Connections. Just kidding. Just on Sundays. We are moving the day and time to Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So uh, it's making it a little bit hard because I am normally traveling on the weekend for the paranormal. And so by the time I get back on Sundays, it's a rush to make sure I can even get there. Hey, Gina, so nice to see you. So, also, George is working on Sundays now, which he wasn't before, so we had to move it around. With that being said, our first show will be March 6th. Uh, Wait a minute, no, it's wrong. Yeah, March 6th will be the first one, and we are going to be doing a prediction show. So, for those who have been following me for 15 plus years, I've been doing this show. You will know that I used to do these all the time and so accurate. Stopped doing them for a while when I took pause from the show, and a lot of people have been asking me to do it again. So, I have had a lot of precog dreams lately and a whole lot of things that are coming up. So, we are absolutely, that's going to be our debut show. We are going to be covering all topics on this show now, opposed to having the two separate shows. So just check in each week. Might be paranormal, it might be abductions, it might be Bigfoot, sea creatures. Who knows? We're going to be talking about all kinds of things. Thank you for everybody who's rolling in and saying hi. Nice to see everybody. Hey, Christine. Hey, Stanley. Nice to see you. Hey, Lorraine. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for showing up. And Kathy. Oh, of course, Kathy. I love to involve everybody. So, as you all know, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I will make sure to keep an eye on them. That being said, all right, we are getting ready for tonight's show, and I was actually really looking forward to this. Um, I was contacted about bringing this team on the show, and I did a little bit of research, and I have to say I'm super excited. So tonight I have some of the crew from the new paranormal show, The Other Side, and tonight we're going to be having Regina Blatt. We're going to be having Haley Stark and Lee Pig. So, a little bit about their show. The Others Side is a paranormal investigation show that features actually a diverse and rotating cast, which I kind of like too. The individuals involved come from a wide array of diverse backgrounds, which I think is very important. And their methods and beliefs are all varied as the individual. And again, anybody knows, I've had a team for over 15 years, and that was like one of the things that I really wanted. I wanted different beliefs. We have, skeptics, like you name it, we have it, just to be very well rounded. So I'm, again, very excited to talk to this. And the good thing is that they actually, all have one goal, and that's just to investigate the reported haunted and cursed locations and bring whatever evidence, that has been gathered to the public at large. And, you know, we all know, and we've talked about it so much, all the drama that, is in the paranormal field. And, especially we seem to get it a lot with new teams and new teams that have shows. So we are going to talk about this all. Make sure to get all of your questions together. And here we go. Well, hello, my friends. How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Great. So good to have you guys on tonight. And, I was saying, what really impressed me, Regina, when you had reached out, when I was looking for guests, um, is that I loved the concept of your show, what you guys are about, because it's very similar to what, I do with my team. Uh, what kind of gave you guys the idea to come together? Did you just come together for the show? Did you come together, prior and then decided to do the show together? Give us a little bit of background.
Well, the show's concept is a little bit different than your average paranormal show. Lee and I have been paranormal investigators for a very long time, many years, um, and we have actually known each other for a while and had a friendship. But the concept of the show is not solely based on paranormal investigators. I had this idea many years ago that there's so many different types of people that connect with spirit in
Yeah.
so many different ways. So why are we not all working together for a common goal? So that's the base of the show. Yes, we have paranormal investigators that will use equipment to try to um, get evidence, but we also have a shaman. We also have a Wiccan witch. We also have a tarot card reader, a medium. Haley is an intuitive. We are also adding cast members like a bone reader. We have a hoodoo practitioner, a voodoo practitioner. So it's a collective of individuals who all speak to spirit or connect to spirit in a different way. And we're trying to find an initial goal to see if we can get the same type of evidence.
Now, how has it worked for you? I know for our team, especially when we were back in the day doing a lot of residential cases, and we would want to go in and do a cleansing. And it got really frustrating to me because a lot of teams out in the field would they have like this cutter cleansing that they like to do. And excuse me for all the bass. Jesus. I've got
It
a whole party
happens.
outside of my studio, guys. Um, I completely lost my train of thought now.
Talking about cleansing.
Oh yeah, the cleansings, and so
Mhm.
everybody had like these cookie cutter cleansings, and they'd say, okay, get you your holy water, and get your sage, and do everything. But I found that if you're going into a client's home that say is an atheist, right, and you come in with your crosses and your holy water and all of that and your prayers, it's absolutely not going to help anybody. It's not going to do much. If we had cases that were on Native American ground, we had a shaman. We had, if something was supposedly had to do with witchcraft, we had access to a witch book, to kind of consult with hoodoo priestesses. Like we had a lot of different things, and I think that that's very important when you're investigating, because if you just have this tunnel vision, and everybody, that's I think is probably, and I'll see what you guys think. I think that's kind of what the problem is in our field right now, is that everybody feels that they know everything and their way is the only way.
Right.
And I have to say that investigating for over 20 years, I've met a lot of people and I've investigated with a lot of people in teams, and I love it. May I do I always go back and say, oh, I'll use that technique, from here going forward or anything like that? Absolutely not. But I've learned a whole lot. And I just think that, you know, everybody's just got this tunnel vision on how the paranormal is supposed to be investigated. And, I see you guys all kind of shaking your head. Let me start with you. I mean, what has been your, insight on what we're talking about?
Okay, on the other side, Regina came to me with that idea, and like she said, we've investigated a long time together, several different locations, and I've learned a lot from her. She's a wonderful paranormal investigator. But when she brought this idea to me, it really was an eye opener because I did have the tunnel vision, like what you were talking about. You see what's on television, you see all the paranormal shows come and go; they're all about the same. But what she had envisioned was totally different. And then I got to meet Haley, and I got to meet, our Wiccan Witch, Colleen on the team, Steve, our shaman, and I'm like, this is a lot broader than I ever even thought that it could be. And I've met them and I've seen them investigate and I've seen them use their talents, which a lot of times coincided with our equipment. It was just a real big eye opening experience. And, I thank Regina every day for bringing this to me because it is eye opening and very
Yeah,
broadening.
I completely agree. Haley, I saw that you were shaking your head during that too. So kind of sounds like you experience it or seen the same kind of things going on.
Yeah, well, I always like to kind of like challenge the social norm, anyways, for me myself, because like it's a part of the scientific process if we're going to investigate things, whether we've established like, I don't know, like a foundation way of doing things. Like things are always constantly evolving and changing, whether it be like technology or like or belief systems or different practices of doing things. And I also think it keeps us more engaged and more interested if we allow to keep evolving in different ways of investigating.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, I can remember, back in the day when I first got into the field and the team that I had first joined, the leader of it said, okay, you're going to be one of our lead psychics. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, first of all, back then, psychics were only like Miss Cleo and Dionne Warwick. And, we didn't have that great of a, opinion out there in the field. So, but again, once it changed, once it started evolving, and again, it's horrible that it always kind of has to go back to television, even with all the hard work as investigators that we've done out in the field. But it's like it gets on TV, and people are like, oh my gosh, why didn't we think of that? Okay, so now it's no longer taboo. Now every team has to have a psychic. And I love that because, again, I think that it can be very beneficial. I know has been for us. And again, to have multiple ways to validate each other, I think it makes it good along the way. Regina, like, what's been your experience, with your background of being an investigator, but now crossing that line on to a television show? Because this is also the most jealous and backstabbing, field that I've ever participated in. And instead of people wanting to collaborate and, work together and educate each other, everybody is like, no. And then if you do happen to be, involved enough where you can get a show, whether it be a YouTube show, Amazon, Paraflix, whatever, it seems like the hate comes out in growth. So what's been your experience so far?
Well, of course, I mean, there's people that are always going to be jealous and there's people who are always not going to support you. But one of the main reasons for doing this show is to bring like-minded people together and to educate people that not everything they see on TV is what really happens in real life. So I think it's important for people to understand that just because you have a TV show doesn't mean you're not a human being, doesn't mean you don't have feelings, because we all do. Get out there and work hard. That's what we have done. We have picked this cast of people that luckily we all have a close relationship. We all get along great, and we all are learning from each other. So, I mean, if you want something bad enough, put the work in. Go out there and do it. And if you're going to hate on somebody, then that's the hatred that's within yourself. So we can't be a part of that. That's not what our show is about. That's not why we all came together.
Yeah, and I think that, there's a lot of jealousy of the people who really have that ambition behind them to say, I want to do more, regardless if it's, I mean, I used to speak at events, but, there was too much brown nosing and being part of events back in the day. So I wasn't really part of that. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do well here. I'll just go ahead and start a radio show so that I can just reach more people than at these little events.
Right.
And yeah, I think that, the jealousy comes out because those same people, they're jealous, but you don't see them doing anything themselves. Because again, it is very easy now to get a YouTube channel, a TikTok, investigation, like any Facebook investigation. I mean,
Right.
everybody's doing it. So it's not hard like it was back in the day. And, I laugh now too, because a lot of times people will go and they'll share their story on another show. And then all of a sudden their egos like blow up, gigantic. It's not back like 20 years ago that, it was very rare for a paranormal investigator to get on an actual TV show as a guest. Now they're sending out emails to every investigator out there. You got a location, you got a story, so it's a different time. But the jealousy kind of it does bother me per se, just because I just feel like it doesn't have to be this way. I think that,
No.
you can go out there and you can actually, everybody, this field is big enough and there is enough, stuff out there to investigate for everybody to be out there if they never even wanted to have anything to do with each other. But
Right.
how do we grow if we don't work with other people? We don't
Right.
continue to educate ourselves and learn as well.
Well, Lee and I experienced that firsthand with our
Yes.
teams that we're involved with. I mean, we each have our own paranormal teams and have had them for years. And we had to go back to members of our team and be like, this is not a team thing. This is an individual thing. This is a production
Yeah.
company that picked every single one of us individually. We, meaning me and Lee, did not have any input in that. The production company, the production people, the producers, they all handpicked us.
Right. Right. I don't think people understand, that too. I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And yeah, I had some problems too, like when I was doing different things and the whole team was not invited to participate. And it's like, yeah, I would love for everybody to be there, but unfortunately that's not how it always works.
Right.
I
Well,
haven't go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say Regina's right. We both lost team members over this project because
Yeah.
of what we're talking about.
But it's again, that's even sadder because those are people from your own teams, that you would think would want to support you, because at the end of the day we all have the same goals, or we should all have the same goals, is to investigate and to bring some answers to the around to this field, and in whatever way it happens to be, with electronics or old school or whatever it happens to be. I am getting a question from Twitter, and it is from Francis. And he said, how do you think for your team now, will you be able, hold on, if this show is a hit, to keep your egos in check? Good question. Do you guys have a plan? Like, if you become really successful and it's a big hit, you think you'll stay humble and stay the same?
My goal, and I can only speak for myself, my goal is not to be famous. My goal is to bring something different to the world, show the world a different way to do something. I never set out on this project, never reached out to the production company to be like, oh, my first goal is to be famous. That's not what this is about. I don't know about Lee or Haley. I don't get. I get the
I
feeling
would
not the
piggyback
same
off
for them.
you. I'm not into. That's just not a lifestyle that interests me at all. Like the only, like I was just offered to be on a very unique like paranormal investigation. I've never been on a paranormal investigation before this show with one thing, paranormal investigators, but a unique group of people. And that was my draw to all of this, because I was just excited to have the opportunity to go learn and be a part of this, because for me, it was hard to get in, to find people to do these things with. So it growing to be to where it is now, like I'm very extremely grateful, but also at the same time, like if I never do it again, I'm still happy with that. Like, and I would even like do it like just, and if I have fun with it, to me, it's about having fun, enjoying it, and what can I learn from this and bring to the table. Everything else is a plus, but I can go on without it, and it's not something I have to have or need. So,
Right. What about you, Lee?
Well, yeah, I grew up in a small town in southern Tennessee. I'm about as humble as they come, and I don't see that ever going away. But again, with the show, like Haley was saying, like Regina's saying, it's a great new adventure. It's doing something that really hasn't been done before, and that's what I really want to bring out to the open to people. I just want to show them, if you want something bad enough, yes, it can happen. And as far as like evidence and stuff, and I know I'm going to jump in a rabbit hole right here. I'm going to try not to, but evidence, a lot of evidence that you see on television, you're like scratching your head, like, yeah, I don't know about that. The one thing Regina said that really intrigued me is nothing is fake. Nothing is put on its show. I mean, it's a genuine. If you catch something, great. If you don't, then that's the way it is as well. But as far as staying humble, the group of people that I got to work with and that I'm going to continue working with, they really keep you grounded because they are just solid to the earth and real as well.
That's great. It's important to have, a good team together for sure. Um, well, I'm gonna pull up a few more questions that we have here. I keep seeing them pop up. Okay. How long have each? Oh, this is from Tina. How long have each of you been in the paranormal?
I myself am on my 14th year.
Okay.
I
Haley?
did my I
Oh,
did
go
my
ahead.
first investigation in 2012 and kind of took a little hiatus until 2019, and that's when I got my team together and started doing it more. So
Okay.
19,
And Haley,
five,
I know
5 years.
you're new to, you said, to
Yeah.
the whole paranormal, investigating side of that. So how long do you have in?
So probably about 2, almost 3 years.
Okay, so you're the
Yeah, I
newbie
feel
to
like a little
the
baby
group.
in it, so but I'm cool with
I
it.
think that's actually amazing though, because I think that again, having people who have a lot of experience in the field and some that don't have, you can learn so much from everybody. Like I just
Absolutely.
feel like it's always a continuous educational aspect of all of this. Let's talk about some of the technique. Well, and before I even actually get to that, I do want to say that was something I was going to ask you, and I'm glad, Regina, and I'm glad that Lee brought that up. Was the one thing that it really has always turned me off about the television shows or all of these new YouTube shows and stuff is the fact that it's, as a seasoned investigator, you can call out a whole lot of BS that you see. And, it's so frustrating. And I know plenty of people who have big shows. And, I've talked to them. And, when you're with big networks, uh, everything's a demon, everything is scary. Oh, let's scream and run away, and all these like that's all the things to get the viewers. And people always say, oh, you should be on TV, you've had so many experiences. And I always said from very beginning, the only way that I would ever do a television show would be if I could actually have full control, and there was no BS that was put out there. And this, I will absolutely tell you, this is the first time I've ever heard about a show that is actually on out on television on a network that you do have some control. Because as investigators, first of all, we know that not every investigation yields evidence. I've been to plenty of them where not a thing happens. I've sat for 8 hours and it's just like, wait. And then I've come back 2 or 3 times after that, and oh my gosh, it's like a volcano of evidence just erupting everywhere around you. Um, so how are you able to get creative control like that? Because I think for our field, even more why I would want my listeners to go and watch your guys' videos, because again, what we want as investigators is real investigations, like not the super edited to make it look like something it's not. And I mean, I get it, because networks, they got to make money. That's what they're there for. But I feel
There's a,
like
there's
your
a
guys'
fine
show is
line
gonna
that
be,
goes from paranormal investigating to entertaining.
yes, yes, yes. And so I mean, again, I think that there's a huge genre of just people who are just out there that are just interested in the paranormal, not much so investigators. They're just like, oh, this is cool to get scared, oh, let's watch these people go and get scared and run and scream. And then you've got real investigators, that are really putting the work out there, and they're like, man, it's so saddening, because this is not what we do. This is not what we're looking for. So I think that you're kind of in a way a pioneer of a new genre of shows out there, that it's like, hey, it is what it is. You're getting what we get. So how are
Well,
you able to work that?
one of our ways to do that is we are completely 100% self-funded. So we have creative
Oh,
control
okay.
and have kept creative control. Amazon Prime has guidelines, but as long as you fall within their guidelines, you can keep, creative control of your own show. So,
Nice.
and that's important to us as well, because we want to be able to bring real investigations. We want people to see how these other spiritually guided people work. And yeah, we know it's going to raise a lot of questions, but that's part of it. But having the creative control over it is going to allow us to be able to do that.
I love that. I really love the whole idea. Well, let's talk about some of the techniques that you guys use to gain when you're investigating and you're doing different locations. What's some of the types of, do you use equipment? Are you old school? Do you use a little bit of all of it? Like questions. Do you guys use Ouija boards? I mean, believe me, my people, they like to know all this stuff.
Well, Lee is our tech guy, so we'll let him answer that question.
Oh Lord. Well, first of all, I trust my own body, and that's what I use more than anything. I'm a paramedic by trade, and increasing the heart rate for no reason, chill bumps, hair standing on end, it's all real. And I look at that in other people as well. As far as equipment, we've got a lot of the equipment, some just what you might call standard, REM pod, K2. Then they go for the SLS. I built one for our team. In the process of working on Regina's, and anything that goes from low tech to a hotel bell. Anything
Yeah.
like a bell. One thing that we were doing on the show is, I love working with Haley. I knew it was her first time out, and to see her, I don't know, just her expression just explode into it and just take it all in. It's amazing. I love you, Haley.
Oh, I love you too. I was like a kid in the candy store, and they were just teaching me like how all the equipment worked, and I was just so thankful for all of that.
And we were very fortunate.
Oh, yeah.
She was seeing evidence just before any investigation started, just with a cell phone camera.
Nice.
You remember that, Haley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really cool.
But a lot of the equipment that we were using, like I know Haley, she's an intuitive. I know, our Wiccan witch and everything, they're using their body as well. And when I see that coincide with mine and Regina's equipment, that is total and pure validation right there. I don't know if I answered that question, but I tried.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, again, with having so many different types of, people on your team, do you guys utilize a Ouija board when you're investigating at all?
We haven't yet.
Not yet.
We're not opposed to
I'll
it.
say that. We're not yet.
We're not opposed to it. I mean, there's no real difference between using a Ouija board and a spirit box. It's just a form of communication. So we're not opposed to using it if we feel that it's right in the location.
I have one, so y'all just let me know when to bring it.
Oh, I've got one as well. I'm scared to throw it away, but I've still got it.
Yeah, I had a really, really bad experience with the Ouija board, and I did come from the same thought process as you guys do, that it's a tool, just like a pendulum, dowsing rods, any of those other things. But I will tell you that, just kind of like, being a skeptic in the paranormal, a person can say, oh, this exists, till you turn blue in the face. But if that person doesn't have their own personal experience, it's not going to change their mind. I always, again, like I said, always felt like the Ouija boards was just a tool. And if it used correctly, you'll be fine. Until I had a really bad situation where I had something, attached to me that came through, follow me, and still to this day, and I'm 56 years old, I still have it. And it wreaked havoc in not only my life, my family's life, my married life, my health. It's crazy. So I'm always interested in, seeing what other teams and other investigators feel about it. And, obviously, Haley, you probably, you have one right there. You probably use it a lot. Like, have any of you had any bad experiences with one, or had anybody that had a really bad experience?
I haven't had a bad. I really I haven't used it in years, honestly, and I haven't had a bad experience of yet. Knock on wood, but But like I've always heard of other people having bad experiences, but I just feel like it's just because they're not using it with the respect of what they're doing as far as communication goes and stuff. And they're not something to play with either too. If you like, you got to take things like this very seriously because they can impact your life. So
Absolutely.
you don't want to just treat everything like a toy.
For me, it's not my preferred method of communication, but you also have to know, and a lot of people don't know this, is you have to open up your equipment and allow the spirits to come through, but then you also have to close that door and stop the communication and say, this is where it ends. You're not allowed to follow us home. You're not allowed to hurt us, touch us,
Right.
whatever. And a lot of people don't know that. They do look at it as a toy.
Yeah.
But a
Well,
lot
I
of
know
it, I'm
even
sorry.
going into investigation, no, even going into investigations, like, we'll, before we leave, we say, look, it's been great hanging out with you, but nobody can, follow me home. And I guess maybe because there really, maybe now, but back in the day, starting out, there really was no real way to really learn about the paranormal. Like we just kind of like saw it on TV and we're like, oh, that's what we do, and then we just kind of like willy-nilly learned on our own. And like when you experience something really bad, you're like, oh yeah, I don't think I should be doing that again. I won't be repeating that,
But you
so
will
I think,
see on our show, when you watch it, is we do use prayers, we do use sage, we do use different methods depending on the person to open and close the sessions. And we felt like that was an important part to show.
absolutely. And go ahead, Lee, you were going to say something earlier.
I don't really know what that was, but I did want to comment on the Ouija board, though. A lot of, unlike Regina, though, I do think it is a tool. Um, in the paranormal field, one thing that we are having to combat against is Hollywood. All the movies that come out showing the bad, just the bad, all the bad, and we're trying to overcome that. The Ouija board that I had the most experience with once, and I do feel like I contacted somebody from my family from my past, and I don't want to really get into that, but it was one that was homemade. I made it, and I think that right there actually makes a difference as
Oh,
well. You put your own energy into it, you put your heart and
yeah.
soul into it, and I just believe that had a lot more result than the one that said made by Parker Brothers.
Yeah. And I'll say that I've said this many times on the show. Growing up, like I always knew about Ouija boards. I mean, when I was growing up as a kid, almost every one of my friends' parents had a Ouija board in their game board closet. It's just, and again, everybody just thought it was like a game that you did on sleepovers and things like that. So nobody really took it serious, which could be part of the reason why people, so many people had problems, including me, because again, I was me and a bunch of kids that I just met, and they wanted to test my psychic abilities with the Ouija board, and ended up they really got scared and definitely didn't close it. In fact, the girl like went out into the backyard and threw it into a metal trash can and set it on fire.
Oh
Now,
gosh.
Oh, no.
of course, yes, exactly, Lee. Now, all these years later, of course, like that would be like, what in the world are you thinking about? But back then we had nobody thought it was anything real. It was just a game. And still to this day, I was reading a post on social media yesterday. It was like a huge debate. Like this guy loves to like just throw statements out and just cause like the piranhas to come, of the paranormal people. Everybody has their own opinion. And there was one about, Ouija boards. And it was very split down the middle. Like half people were just saying, oh, it's just a game, just a parlor game, just for fun. Other people are like, not so much. It's a legit tool, and you absolutely, it can go bad, or it could go really well. Um, that scares me because here we are 20 years later, and still people in this field are not educated that if they're going to use these tools, how to use them correctly. Because again, it doesn't always, if there, and again, this isn't always the case, but if there is a negative effect of what you're doing, what I've noticed is yes, it will attack the person, like, me, but it kind of feeds on creating chaos, and you can create a whole lot more chaos going after people that that person loves and cares about. And so it can have a much stronger psychological effect on you than if, like, we're in the field. So we're just kind of like, yeah, we know, there's a good chance if we go and we investigate, something could follow us home. No matter all the precautions in the world that we take, it could happen. So I spent the first half of my career in this field going, and people who were investigators then ended up being my clients because they would bring something home and then couldn't get rid of it themselves. So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Do you feel like the field is working more on educating themselves and learning more things, or do you just kind of think we're just kind of stuck on stagnant, and just everybody's just kind of in their own mode?
Go ahead, Lee.
No, you go ahead. I went first last time.
Regina's like, oh,
I think that people obviously imitate what they see on TV, and they think it's going to be fun, and they think they're going to go to locations and everything's going to pop off. And those of us who have been in the field a long time know that that's not true. Education is a big part of it. I mean, you have to educate yourself on your equipment, on the way that you investigate, on your locations, on what to do and not to do. And that also comes from learning from each other. So if people are open-minded enough to learn from one another, I mean, I think it can be a really great experience. But unfortunately, I think people just want to go for the thrill, like you said, and see it on TV and, oh, I could do that, and breaking into places. And that's obviously not the way to go. But yeah, I mean, there could be a lot more education, and we hope that our show can bring some of that to light.
Great. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, as someone who's not a expert investigator and
there's no experts, just to let you know, Haley. I know you're not into this, but there is not one expert.
I don't have the years, so
Experience, yes. Expert, unless you know everything, and I don't think any of us do. Well, yeah, we're no experts for sure.
When somebody says that, I walk away from them.
Yeah, my bad. But
no, you did.
anyways, I feel like as someone who watches it from the outside, as a viewer, it's kind of stagnant. You don't see a whole bunch of nothing new is brought to the table from my perspective. So that's why I think that what's kind of cool about our show is we're showing just different types of techniques and everything. And then also on my end, as someone who's intuitive and who's going to go into these spaces, I've actually started taking classes on shamanism. Not saying I'm going to be a shaman, but I take classes on shamanism and studying different types of spirituality. So I understand, if I'm going to fuck around and find out, I'm at least educated and know what I'm going to fuck around with. So to the best of my knowledge, and hopefully that helps everybody educate and learn, and then also bring different techniques of communication, or I understand the signs or symbols or sigils that are used when you see those people that try to summon a demon per se and stuff, and knowing what those symbolisms mean is very important. So I think that helps for when I do future investigations. I think that's going to help give a leg up, but also keep myself protected and the team I work with.
No, I think that's a great answer. What about you, Lee?
Well, like Haley was saying, if you're going to go out and try to summon a demon, you're going to find it. Whatever you put out there, I think a lot of times is what you're going to get back. Not every time. And education on it is really important. Like I said a while ago, we are battling Hollywood basically, because any kind of movie, any kind of blockbuster movie that comes out talks about the negative. Now, me and Regina we put our teams together, and we've held many public investigations. A lot of people, they'll come out and they want to, what we call, chase ghosts. They come out there and they want to see what's on television. They want to see what's in the movie, and that's what they fully expect, but we try to educate. We try to tell them, okay, this is not what you're going to experience. What you're going to experience, maybe nothing. I said, basically, we're going on a fishing trip. We're going to go out. We're going to throw our line in the water. We might catch something. We might not. And by the end of the night, it's amazing to see how the people transition from wanting to go out and chase a ghost down the hallway to people that actually want to experience a true paranormal experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I'm getting a question from Lena, and she's saying, how normal is it when you're investigating for something to happen and all of the investigators run screaming? Sorry.
Not often, if ever.
That's just the funniest thing. And I'm so glad you said that, Lena, because when I see that, I'm like, what kind of investigator are you? Because, first of all, if I'm anywhere investigating and I hear a bunch of screaming and somebody running, I'm going exactly to where they just came from because I want to know what scared them so bad. And I have never seen so many investigators get scared. Like, you hear something go behind your back, and it might be able to be completely debunked on, not even it being anything in paranormal, but they're crying and having panic attacks and running. And
yeah, it's
Nope, never had that either.
we always say that the living are more scary than the dead. So 90% of the time it's something in the environment. It's people trying to scare you. It's bats, it's mice, it's spiders.
Or your own imagination.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, what we do is scary. We're asking for something that we cannot see to come talk to us in the dark, light up our equipment, do whatever. Yeah, of course we all get scared, but the running and screaming out, no.
I've seen others do it, but
yeah.
I literally watched somebody the other day on a TikTok, and they were doing a live investigation, and you could see in the corner in the dark, this guy was holding like a clipboard, and all of a sudden he dropped it on the ground, and you hear this, and and like just hightailed it out, yelling and screaming, including the guy who dropped the actual clipboard. So I was just like, it's like, oh my gosh, every year I'm hoping that, somehow some people are going to come in to save this view, because it is getting absolutely ridiculous when I watch it. It's just like, man, I can't even watch this anymore, because I'm literally watching the show yelling at the people like, what are you doing? And what are you doing with that? And bringing that, we've got Derek is asking, what do you guys think about the Estes method, and can it be faked?
We actually used it in the show several times.
Okay.
Of course, anything can be faked, but one of the great things about the session that I had with Haley is that Haley had never done it before.
Love that. Yeah.
So, and Steve also, our shaman, had never done it before. So we did actually 2 sessions with people who just have never experienced anything like that. And we don't necessarily get direct answers, but we do get environmental answers, if that makes sense. And I think it would be easy to fake, but in our case, again, we're not here to fake evidence. We're not here to change anybody's mind if they like it or don't like it. We're just here to try to give a different perspective of it.
Right. Now, I will say, so when you guys do the Estes method, or when you did it, was Haley, were you like right there, like in a group with everybody? Were you in a different room? Like, how did you guys have it set up?
Well, I don't know completely where they are, because when I channel, I get really foggy and I'll forget things. But I will say this, and outside of the show, when I've done the Estes method, I will stop an investigation if I hear you talking. Like,
love that.
I will, like, because I'm about that evidence. Like, so, and like debunking stuff is important, and making sure like you can't hear anything is really important. So I know I just like sat in the ground in the couple spots, and there's like one location, 2 different locations where I sat, and they were like either like, I don't know, maybe 10 feet away, and then the other like a couple yards away, and I couldn't hear them at all. And for me, it was more of a sensory deprivation than me trying to listen to the white noise or radio waves that were coming through to help me channel better. Because like Regina said, I've never done that before. I've seen it on TV, so I was excited to do it, but I've never had that experience. So I wasn't really sure if I was supposed to listen to like the sounds coming through the headphones and trying to get my information through there, but that was too kind of hard for me. So I just kind of channeled what was going on and using it more as a sensory deprivation than actually trying to listen to what's going on in the headphones.
And probably for you, it's a little bit different. I know it is for me if I try to do it too, because, being into having psychic abilities, things come to us in a different level than it's hard to, it's like competing, trying to listen to the white noise was coming through and what we're asking to come through. So it can be hard. But I love the integrity. I just want to say that to you, Haley. I love the integrity for you, especially to be new and to say, if I can hear you guys, what's the questions that are being asked, I'm going to stop and let you guys know so that I'm not listening. So it's, there's no interference. Because I've been with teams and we 100%. I have a few teams that's one of their go-to, parts to investigate. They love to do the Estes method. And we've got some great stuff before, but I've also seen other teams use it where like they're literally in a circle and it's like everybody's asking questions and this person's right there and like they're giving like full sentence responses and it's like literally like bang, bang, bang. And then I found out that they could hear and again frustrating as hell because you go to work with people and you again are looking for integrity because we are all investigators. And so that means that that means a lot, I think. And I think that people who are watching the show that are later going to go and watch it, I think that the integrity is priceless because then when you're watching, you're not like trying to nitpick and tear every single part of the evidence that you get during your episode, because otherwise, people will be like, oh, yeah, they probably heard, oh, they probably did this, they probably did that. So the integrity, will really follow not only you as an investigator, you as a team, and you guys as a show. So again, I appreciate you bringing a show with that kind of integrity.
Absolutely.
All right. Alexis is asking, have you ever worked with a team or collaborated with the team that knowingly were faking evidence? Lee's like, I'm not just going to jump and say no right away because I got to think a minute.
There's a lot of people that I've investigated with where I question it. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's fake, but I do question it and I walk away, scratching my head thinking, okay, you're full of it. But, I don't want to just flat out say that because everybody has a different experience. So that's my take on it.
Gotcha. What about you, Regina? You've been in there a long time.
Not that I have definitively said to myself, oh yeah, they're faking it. But I agree with Lee. It's like, you're kind of like, I don't know. I do question that. And again, with holding a lot of public investigations, it's, people want to feel and want to see. And sometimes you can be, I don't know if that really happened or not, but not directly, not 100% convinced that they were faking it.
Yeah, I think I see more of it like, in like the editing side of, things that, I've known some editors that I could literally just send them some just B-roll of stuff that I got on an investigation and they can make it look like something really crazy had just happened there. And that worries me a little bit too, that it's that easy to manipulate how people perceive what really happened, because we could get the evidence and know that there was really nothing that really went on, and then it can be edited down and misconstrued and put out a different way, and then people right away are like, oh my gosh, look at the evidence. So I think that again, the integrity is very, very important of what you're doing. Do you have any specific, for each one of you, do you have a specific piece of equipment that's your go-to? Like, I know everybody uses a lot of equipment, but like one thing that you just like every investigation, you're pretty much going to use it. We'll start with you, Regina.
I am a true lover of the dowsing rods. They're low tech. No, I mean I do have some light up dowsing rods, but I do have the traditional copper wired ones, and they're just low tech. I think that a lot of these locations that we go into that are have very old spirits in them, they're not afraid of them. Some of them may recognize them as, oh, I used these to find water back in my time, or so it's not something that it lights up and makes noise and I'm afraid of. So it's my go-to. I love dowsing rods.
Okay. What about you, Lee?
Well, like I said before, the one thing that I trust more is my own body, my own senses, my own
I'm with you there.
feelings and everything. But if you want to go into equipment, it's a voice recorder. I carry one anywhere I go. If I don't, I use the one on my cell phone. My last trip to the beach, it was an old Civil War fort. Walked into a room of one of the old batteries, and I told who was then on my paranormal team, I said, "There's something here." So we did a quick little burst EVP session and got one of the best EVPs I've ever got. It was a metal room, and it was so loud you could hear it reverberate off of the wall, just like our
Oh,
echo was.
wow.
I mean, it was a single word. It was yes. Are you here? Yes, and it sounded like it was standing right beside of us. And I've never had an experience with another EVP like that one. So I'm going to say a voice recorder because I mean, there's no way, if you're the only person out there, what's going to be on there? I mean, if you
Right.
can't debunk it, I've got to call it paranormal.
That's right. I love that. I love that answer. All right, Haley, you're the youngest one to the group,
Yeah.
so and I know you're new into the investigating side, but do you have or since working with these guys, do you now have a piece of equipment that is going to be your go-to?
Honestly, I don't have a go-to because I just haven't found, I don't know, that one yet. But my body is my primary tool. So
Love that. Love
as
that.
far as
Okay.
it doesn't help with sharing the evidence, but like when it's combined with using the other tools, though, it helps like validate what evidence is around too. So, or also debunk as well. So, but I do like using like kind of like a little bit of everything. So,
Like
but
that. I like that.
Hmm.
did like the Estes method when I did that with them because that was really fun for me to do too. So,
Nice. Now we've got about 8 minutes, but I want to talk about maybe some of the your favorite locations that you have investigated where you've just had some amazing evidence, whether it's for the show or just since you guys have, Regina and Lee, you've been investigating for a long time like me, just in general. What would be your top place if you had to go back for?
Oh my gosh, there's so
I got
many
one.
ones. Okay, you go.
All right, Lee,
One,
go ahead.
one of my first investigations with Regina was at the old Wash Show in Virginia City, Nevada. Uh,
Ding,
that's
ding,
the
ding. Yep.
that's the first time that I investigated with Regina, and I saw a side of her. It scared the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie, but I was just about to turn around and run away. But probably gonna be there. That place is legit. That place is full, and like I said, just investigating with Regina there, it just again opened my eyes to other. Just I don't know. Just she scared me, and I almost ran out. And I thought about that a while ago for an answer.
Virginia City, I will tell you, I mean, I have been all over the country, and Virginia City will always be one of my most favorite places.
It's
Although I
beautiful.
love the Washoe, just about everywhere down there has activity going on. So it
I
doesn't matter.
believe
You
it.
can stay at any of the hotels, you can go to any of the bars. I mean, especially being a psychic medium like I am, I walk in, I visually see them. So it's like everywhere I go, I'm like, oh man, like this is like overwhelming how much activity there is here. And my friend actually owns a bar down the street, and I will say that I had more crazy experiences that actually shook me to my core there than I ever have. But it's also not a place that has been heavily investigated. The owner is my best friend, and it scared her so much because she's not into the paranormal that she just didn't want people going in there and investigating. Now, over the years and our experiences together and everything, now she feels a little bit different. So she does let, people investigate. But that whole town is just amazing. If you ever are new, like, and you want to go and be pretty much guaranteed you're going to get great evidence,
Yeah.
go anywhere in Virginia City. and you can stay at any of the hotels there. You're going to get activity. You can go to any of the restaurants there. You're going to get stuff. It's just amazing there, I have to say. All right. That being said, let's talk a little bit about where people can find you guys if they want to connect with you, if they want to watch the show. Let's give some information like that.
The show is currently airing on Amazon Prime. It is called The Others Side, so Others with an S. It's on Amazon Prime. It's also on Paraflix. We have all social media under The Other Side: Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We'd love for you guys to go out there and follow. Of course, we'd love for you to go watch the show and give us your input and what you think about it. At this point right now, like I said, we are self-funded. So if you go to any of our social media, we do have a spot fund that you can help produce the show for more episodes, because we are currently looking for locations for our next 8 episodes, which will complete our first season.
Nice. Well, definitely, if you want a new location and you want to go back to Virginia City, I got one for you. So we
would love to.
That would be amazing. I would love to go back.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that would definitely. I mean, again, and it's a place that it's not. You're not going to see it all over social media, because.
I want to ask you so bad where it's at, but I don't know if you'd want to tell it.
No, I 100% tell you. It's at the Union Brewery.
I believe it.
For many years, when my friend and her husband bought the place, they decided to renovate it and bring it back, because it was in pretty bad disrepair. And as we know, that once you start remodeling, like, you can have all kinds of stuff, and they're not in the paranormal, so it was crazy. Ended up causing all kinds of issues within their marriage. They split up. Husband ended up dying off the property.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got jumped by him the very first time I went there. His spirit literally jumped me. He realized I could see him and I could hear him, and he full force just came and jumped right into me. First time in my whole life anything like that ever happened to me. I didn't know if I was possessed. All I knew is that what I was hearing and what I was saying was not me, and I had no control. So it was a very scary experience. Now I kind of have an understanding with him, so we can't do that no more. That's a no-go for him. But it's a great location, and as I said, actually we did have a television show that did come out there. I will not say their name because I do not promote that show, but they went out there. You can just look up Union Brewery, the Haunting at Union Brewery, you'll find it. But that definitely, when they had all kinds of stuff happen then, and then afterwards, when they did the premiere party at the bar, they were able to capture a photo of this, shadow guy with a brimmed hat. I mean, clear as day. And it was absolutely him. So yeah, it's. I think that it's a great place to investigate. And for me, new places that haven't been like overly investigated, like, just really gets me going, because it's like, wow, let's see what we can do with a brand new spot. So absolutely, I'd love to invite you guys up there, and if you guys want to do it, let me know, and we'll get a date set up, and I'll make it happen.
I say set a date. I mean, that sounds amazing.
All right, well, we will definitely do that. All right, everybody. Well, with that being said, thank you all so much for coming on the show and talking about your show, The Other Side. I encourage everybody who's watching, share this show with your friends and on your pages, your groups. Let's get this information out, and go and check it out, and let us know. Let them know. Leave some feedback for them. Let me know. Come back. Let me know what you think. I'm very impressed. So I hope that everybody has that same thing. And again, thank you guys for sharing all of this. And thank you, Regina, for having a concept, that will actually make investigators like us happy, that we can actually have a show where we can watch what we do, just watching somebody else, without having to sit there and want to grab the people through the screen. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Right.
All right, everybody, that is the end of the show for tonight. So again, If you didn't get it at the beginning of the show, we are no longer doing Paranormal Connections on Sunday evenings. We are now going to be doing Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. So a little hour later because people got to work. But Wednesday the 6th, so this coming Wednesday, there will not be a show, but next Wednesday there will. We will be talking the prediction show. Can't wait. And then we've got a great lineup coming after that. If you have anybody that you'd like to see on the show or a topic you'd like us to cover, please make sure to send me a message. All right, everybody, have a great night and have a great week. Good night.
Thank you for having us.